you mentioned that aspect of mentorship, and you had mentioned it with when you were doing SCOM.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah.
What impact did it have on you having that mentor?
No, it was. I loved it. I really, really loved it, and I hope that they still have it. Because you would be talking to someone who had been on campus for 5 years.
Yes.
All right, the engineering guys would do the program was 5 years, and they knew their way around. They knew the pitfalls, and for them just to explain to you, to say, okay, maybe you need to calm down a little, don't be too excited. And I remember Weston, he wasn't even the judgmental, the sanctimonious kind that tried to come across as being morally superior. He wasn't any of that. He was a guy who was grounded, easy to talk to. Made it apparent that he was a flawed man, but was working through his issues as well. But you could still look up to him for guidance, and I just thought that was quite amazing. We had a few friends who made their choices that they would maybe swing to the other extreme, and quickly got sucked up into this. The Polytechnic had Mabade, okay. Chancellor College had heroes. So these were, rowdy characters, shouting profanities at people who had done nothing to them. Yeah. Gratuitous violence, gang-like behavior. And I think that there were some who thought, we're going to outgrow this, okay, and leave it behind here. And then, if truth be said, there were others who survived that culture, and then, now they're responsible people having, But I think there were some who really just got stuck in that behavior and then messed themselves up, right? So for me, I was mighty grateful that there was this guy who could mentor me in that sense, right? Yeah.
Have you continued maybe to seek mentors as you've grown in your career, life, generally?
Yeah. Okay, now the mentorship has to be defined differently, obviously, right? In a professional setting, you have I define mentors as folks that I look up to, obviously. And if I'm stuck, I can go up to for guidance. Just talk to about how they've managed situations. And I've a few in the profession that I reach out from time to time. Others silently inspire me from a distance. They wouldn't really perhaps call me their mentee, but I just look at their work and I'm a huge admirer of their work, But even just in terms of life in general, you also have got people, older brothers, mostly who, I admire the way they go about their life, the way they carry themselves, the way they invest, and you just want to hang around such kind of people and learn how they're doing it.
Great.
Yeah.
Transition Polytechnic to Chancellor.
To Chancellor College, yes.
What was it like now? You've left the Polytechnic. First of all, from your parents' point of view, you call home or you went home. How did they receive that news?
No, they were excited, obviously. The child was, was going to become a lawyer. So my mom was super excited, I remember. The first thing that hit me when I went to Chancellor College was that the setup of the campus was radically different. All right. Yeah. Because principally, Chancellor College had the smaller halls of residence. So we had at Chanco, the majority of the hostels had, was it 28? I think it was 28 rooms. Between 26 to 28 rooms. Yeah. Okay, meaning that at any given point in time, the residents could only have around 50 something occupants. Yeah. Now compare that with the situation at the Poly. You had Nika and what was the other? Ndirande. These were like 4-story buildings, all right, blocks. So because of that, there was more sense of communal relationship. But and when you belonged. So me, when I went there, they put me up in Sangala, and you quickly identified as an islander. It's Sangala was physically located from the rest of The hostel, so it was called an island. So we were called islanders, and you quickly bought into that identity that,
You're an islander.
I'm an islander, these are my people. And, they really, covered you and you covered them, right? And that was, for me, the major point of departure from what was happening at the Polytechnic. And then the food was also a bit different. I think the poly food was a bit better than the one we had at Chancellor College. But one thing that I suddenly missed was a church. I think the church at the poly was stronger, and that was the weird thing. It was stronger. It was a much more robust community. There was more fragmentation at Chancellor College. So, for instance, the CAPSO people did their own thing. Okay, these are CCAP students. They did their own thing. SCOM did its own thing. And I think it came from the fact that SCOM and CAPSO people met on the same day. All right, so you had to choose. It's either you belong to. And the UCC community was also completely different. At the Poly, this was basically one community. The charismatic Christian community was basically one. All right. So SCOM people would meet, I think, on Wednesday, and then CAPSO had a different day, and then UCC. So the setup was such that the charismatic, community was really closely knit, and it was easier for them to kind of provide, a net, and around which you would feel secure, right? At Chancellor College, it was a fragmentation. I found it so difficult,
For you to adapt.
Yes, absolutely, There were like these little pockets of everyone doing their own little thing, and you didn't feel like you would be welcomed into one whole Christian community, it's charismatic community at that time.
Now, starting law school, we hear stories, law and for people to make it, you really need to put your all, like everything, invested all your energy invested in that. Now you're starting law school. What was that like for you?
So, I'm not sure about that, but it calls for seriousness, obviously, and some level of maturity, because what you learn, and during our time, Chancellor College had moved away from terms, so just into semesters, and you would learn certain courses in just a single semester. So, for instance, like in semester 1, we would do introduction to law, and I think we also did constitutional and administrative law. So, if you did those courses, that was it. All right. Now, this is the knowledge, substantive knowledge, that is going to carry you through the 4 years of your study, and ultimately through the remainder of your whatever professional life would remain with. So
the fundamentals.
The fundamentals absolutely are. So you just need to take it seriously, knowing that if I learn what a constitution is, if I learn the principles of interpretation of the constitution, in jurisprudence, if I learn the different theories of law that are there, in introduction to law, if I learn how you read a statute, how you interpret a statute. If I learn how you extract, a principle from a decided case, or how the doctrine of precedent operates in practice, that's it. We're not going back to that stuff. That's it. This is the stuff that's going to define me as a professional for the rest of my life. So you just need to be serious. It's also a bit heavy in terms of the workload. I think that there are very few programs in the University of Malawi that are comparable, and this is no exaggeration. It's the workload is insane. Every day you would be given maybe 20, 30 cases to go and read and look up. You'd be given journal articles, what, and we were in class every day from I think principally from around 8 to lunch, and then in the afternoon you had to go study. So the workload was quite insane. But over time you get to learn how to handle things a little better. Just need to be mature.